Hi, I'm Rebecca, and welcome to my sewing room. This is Sew Be It. Today, we're using Simplicity pattern 8177. It's the same pattern that you have seen before when I have made just that knit top. It's actually this knit top. You haven't seen this one before, but I've made a few tops that you will eventually see later. But today we are making this yellow, what do you want to call it? Let me see what they call it. Coat. They call it a coat. I'm making the yellow coat. However, it is not going to be a coat. It's going to be a sweater. It does have pockets, as you can see. However, these flaps are just decorative, so I'm leaving those flaps off. The fabric that I'm using is, let me get it right side out for you. This is, oh my gosh, really nice pink and blue knit. It's a sweater knit. You can see, you can actually see through it. Stretch it there. It's got a lot of stretch. It's the back side, the wrong side. I got this fabric as one of the 2-yard remnants at my local Walmart. And I really liked the pink and blue pattern. It's not really a pattern, but the knit pattern, I guess. I really liked that. And it goes with a lot of my stuff. So I decided to get it and wasn't exactly sure what kind of shirt or sweater that I would make with it. But when I got this pattern, I decided I would do the coat in a long duster sweater, which I really, really like. It'll be really nice with, I just made a blue top from this pattern. And so this will actually match it perfectly. And because the top is kind of thin and obviously the sweater knit is kind of thin, the 2 layers together will be a perfect combination for that cold weather that we've got coming up. Like in 2 days, it's supposed to start dropping down and staying in the mid 40s for our high temperature. So it'll be really nice for that. I have all of my pattern pieces cut out. I will say that this pattern calls for, in my size, okay, I guess I didn't need as much. In my size, I had a 60-inch, it was approximately 60-inch wide fabric, called for 2 7/8 yards. But this was a 2-yard remnant that I got from Walmart. And so I thought I only had 2 yards. I measured it and I had almost 2 3/4 yards. So I think these remnants or the pre-cut fabric is actually remnant. So anywhere between 2 and 3 yards would be in my 2-yard purchase, because almost every single purchase that I've made of just 2 yards, it's been anywhere between 2 and 3 yards. So this was about 2 3/4 yards, so not the 2 7/8 that this said that I needed for my long dust. Once I laid it out though, I decided that I was going to try it. I should have enough fabric for everything that I need. I do not have to piece together any of my pieces. I'm about 1 inch short on my front facing, but that should be okay. That really shouldn't make any difference. And so that's the only difference that I have. And I'm not doing the flaps. I did, if you're wondering if I had enough fabric for that, I did have enough fabric for that, because all of my fabrics, or all of my pieces, are cut apart. I still have this bit of fabric left and a tiny little bit of fabric over on that pile of leftover fabric. So because of the kind of knit that this is, I can't easily just clip my notches and mark on there for my dots. So I have to look up a video on how to actually do tailor tacks, because I know the idea of doing them, but I've never done them myself. So I need to double check, make sure I have the idea correct, and get my tailor tacks marked for my use my tailor tacks to mark my notches and my dots for my sleeves. And I think that's it. And then I will be back for our sewing. First step of the process is stay stitching the neckline of the front and back of this. Fabric does have to be pulled through the back of my machine or else it bunches up really bad. It's very, very lightweight. I just have the front of the neckline stay stitched right now. I will do the back once I get the front finished. The next step is to do the darts. So I will go ahead and do those. As can you see? A little bit actually. As you can see, I have the darts marked here with my tailor's tack, just the ends of the legs and the point. I didn't go all the way up. I probably should have. But we'll see how this actually comes together. So I'll do one and then I'll do one on camera and then I will turn off the video and do the rest. You can hardly tell the tailor's tack on the back here. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and stitch along that line. That should be at least pretty close to the dart. Alright, remember to back stitch at the point, or at the start, and run off at the point. This fabric doesn't have to be pulled quite so much at the back end when there's more than one layer, but it still does have to have some tension on the back end. And then leave a long enough tail so we can tie our knot here as we always do on our dart so it doesn't unravel. This doesn't need to be quite so defined for this fabric because it's such a loose knit, but we still want it for a little bit of shape. And let's see what we have. All right, that looks nice. And then we can go ahead and pull these tailor's tacks out now that we don't need these ones anymore. And they just pull right out like that. This one too. Not all of my tailor's tacks lasted. The other layer, the other front piece did not quite work for all of them. So, but that's okay. I'll figure it out. Okay. So it has to be pressed, obviously, but there's the first dart. So we'll go ahead and do the second dart and then I'll be back to show you the next step. Next step is adding this front band to the front piece. So we need to, let me go ahead and lay this out and then I'll show you how it has to be pinned and stitched. Okay, so this is the front neckline right here and the shoulder seam. This front band, I gotta choose the right one for this piece. You're gonna match up this front band here, this curved piece with the neckline, basically, kind of. Because it finishes the neckline. It's the curve, the rest of the neckline there. And is that right? Hold on, let me double check my directions. Oh, I got the wrong piece. It's this piece that should go with it, I think, based on the picture. So let's see if this lines up a bit better. Yeah, this has the seam allowance cut out right there. There we go, we can match that. Pretty sure that's right. I think I missed a notch on this side because I don't have a notch in that spot. Let's see if the rest of it matches up. Yep, there's a notch right there. It matches with this. Okay. This is the right side. I just missed that upper notch. So we're going to match up this seam here without stretching this fabric, hopefully, so that it matches up evenly. There. Okay, so now that this matches up, I have to pin this side and stitch that seam. So I'm going to go ahead and do that on both front pieces, and then I'll be back for the next step. Next step in the sweater slash coat construction is to edge finish the vent flap, because there's a vent in this sweater and it is right here. So to edge finish, I have to do a straight stitch 1/4 inch from the raw edge on both of the back flap or back the back sweater pieces, and then fold that over at the stitching and either straight stitch or zigzag stitch, and I'm going to go ahead and zigzag stitch. So I'll show you this step on this one, and then I'll do the other one off camera. I'm going to run that stitch right off the end there. Pull it out, clip them. And then, because I do want to be pretty precise, I am going to pin as I fold on that stitching line there. I'm probably going to overpin just so that it doesn't move. This fabric wants to move quite a bit. So. now I'm going to get my machine to, you know what, we'll do 2.5 millimeter zigzag stitch and zigzag this edge. And I'm going to try and get it right along the edge there so that it doesn't, the edge of it doesn't come up at all. So that's how you edge finish the vent flap. So I will go ahead and do that on the other, can't find that string. Okay, I'll do that on the other piece and then I will be back. So our next step is to stitch the back pieces together. So right now I'm pinning them, I'm lining them up. There's 3 notches here, which I've got lined up. And then I'm just lining up the rest of the raw edge all the way down to the end. However, since I have a vent on this coat sweater, the vent is not stitched. It's basted closed in order to help get a nice crisp edge, which I don't know that that's going to matter too much on this when we press it, but it's something. So I'm going to go ahead and do that too. So I'm going to pin this side. I'm going to baste from the bottom to this yellow tailor tack here and then stitch the rest of it and then press, and I'll be back for the step after that. Next few steps here I've never done before, so I am going to go ahead and do them on camera and show you as well. So I got my edges finished here, and then I have this basted and the rest of the back seam actually stitched. It's reinforced at the top of the vent. I back stitched right there, and I back stitched at the end, obviously, as you're supposed to. So let's see. So now I have to reinforce the inner corner and stitch the upper end of the vent extensions together. So starting an inch above the large dot, which is right here. So I have to start up here. Stitch along the seam line and then pivot at the large dot and stitch the top of this closed here. And then clip right back to large dot at inner corner. So then I will clip it. Clip right here. That's fine. That's done. Okay. Press seam open above clip. Press vent extensions toward the left back. So I'm going to go press this and I'll be back. So my next step, I have to pin the flap, the vent flap here, along this, and then I have to baste right along this stitching at the top. Well, this way. So I'll go ahead and do that. Okay, now that I got the basting done, now it says on outside, stitch left back along basting line as shown. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I really am supposed to be doing with this. Okay, I'm not really sure how this wants me to do this bent. I can't quite figure it out, so I'm gonna do it my own way, as usual when I can't figure something out. These need to be attached to each other, which is what I'm gonna do. I don't know what this is telling me to do. I don't think we really need to do anything with this right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and skip this step. The next step is, let me double check, stitching the front to the back at shoulder seams. So that's what we are gonna go ahead and do now. Oh, you know what? I didn't press these seams because I was going to do it when I pressed the back seam, and I forgot to take these and press these. So I need to press these and I'll do that. Now that I have those front pieces pressed, the seam is pressed between the front and the front band. I am now stitching this first shoulder seam front to back. All right, just like that. And so there is one front piece attached to the back. So I will go ahead and pin and stitch the other shoulder seam, and I will be back. I think we are, what are we doing next? Oh, we're actually doing the facings. So I'll be back for the facings. The next couple steps are to stitch the front and back facing together at shoulder seams. And then edge finish the outside edge, the entire outside edge, after pressing your shoulder seams. Edge finish them the exact same way that we edge finished the vent of the back of the coat. So now that my shoulder seams are stitched together, I will go and press these two seams, and then I will edge finish by stitching the straight stitch 1/4 inch along the outside edge, and then folding that over and zigzagging that seam. So I have my sweater covered in pins. I have stitched the front and back facing together right here. And then I have pinned the front facing to the coat. And so now I have to stitch this whole seam here. I have to stitch the facing to the coat. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then I think, let me double check, I think I have to understitch. So yes, I have to stitch this entire seam, and then I have to understitch as much as I can and tack the facing to the seams so that it will stay to the inside. So So I will do that and be back. So the next step for this is the side seams and pockets. So I've got 2 pockets pinned here. I'm going to go ahead and get the, I think I'm going to actually stitch those and then pin the pockets to the front and then do the side seams because I just don't want to lose those, and the pins like to keep sliding out of this fabric. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch these, put the pockets on the front panels, and then do the side seams. So for that, you go down the side around the pocket and then back down the rest of the side. So I will do that. And then I'll be back to show you the sleeves because this is a 2-piece sleeve and I've never done these kind of sleeves before. And that is the step after the side seams. So I will be back for the sleeves. Okay, I'm getting down to the final couple steps here, and I'm actually pretty excited about it because this wasn't too difficult, but it was a lot of steps, and I'm glad that I'm wrapping it up. Okay, so the next thing I have to do is to make the sleeves and insert the sleeves. And so this is not just a seam down the bottom side of the sleeve. This is a 2-piece sleeve. I have an under sleeve and I have an upper sleeve. So obviously they're still attached to the pattern paper, but I'll go ahead and get that taken care of here in a minute. So what we have to do, the directions tell us that, where's it at? I have to pin the upper sleeve to the under sleeve, matching the notches, stitch, and then as you're stitching, I have to stretch the front edge and ease the back edge of the upper sleeve to fit. And then it says to ease the top of the sleeve, which would be to do the gathering stitches. But this fabric, I don't think I'm gonna even remotely come close to doing that. When I insert the sleeve, I'm just gonna pleat the top of the sleeve head so that it fits in there, which is the way that I've been doing a lot of my sleeves lately, because for me that seems to be, if I pleat it and do lots of pinning, that seems to be the easiest and the nicest looking sleeves that I'm making. So that's what I'm gonna do. I will go ahead and get this pinned, and I will be, get that color back, I will be back to show you the stitching, how we stitch the 2 pieces of the sleeve together, and then I will also show you how I insert the sleeve into this sweater. So once I get it pinned, I'll be back to show you some stitching. All right, so here is one sleeve. This piece here is the upper sleeve. This piece here on top is the under sleeve. So we have 2 seams that we have to stitch. But first, I'm going to do this side seam. Once that's done, I will go ahead and pin this side over here, and then stitch that. So I will show you all of this. Alright, so here's one seam, and then we'll go ahead and pin the other seam. I do have notches, so there's a notch. It's actually just right there. So match up your notches and then pin the rest of it. All right, and let's stitch that. Alright, so that is one whole sleeve stitched together. There we go. And then this one here ends up basically being the underarm seam, kind of. Yeah, that's closer to the underarm seam right there. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and stitch together the other one, and then I will press these seams and I will be back to insert the sleeves. So the sleeve is a little bit more confusing than other sleeves because there's two side seams, and usually you match the underarm seam with there's two underarm seams. Usually you match the underarm seam with the side seam of the shirt, but that is not how this is. And okay, I need to match my notches. So I have the middle notch with the shoulder seam, which is right where that's supposed to be. And then this notch, my tailor's tacks came out because I had tailor's tacks marked on the sweater part for the notch, and it came out. So I kind of just have to ease the sleeve in however it's going to fit, basically. And I don't have a picture on here for where the seam is supposed to be. It's just with the notches. There's a notch right there. That's the dot. Have a notch right here. With right sides together, pin sleeve to armhole edge with center small dot at shoulder seam, which I have pinned there. Placing side seam at double small dot and matching remaining small dots. Alright, let me look at my pattern piece real quick. Yeah, I kind of am just gonna have to put these sleeves in any way that they're gonna fit in there right. I think this notch goes with this though. I'm pretty sure right there. It's hard to see because this is a sweater knit and it pulls really bad at the notches, so you don't know for sure if it's right. It's hard to see. So I'm just going to pin this up as I normally would. We shouldn't really have much ease here under the sleeve or under the arm. All the ease I'm going to go ahead and put in the cap of the shoulder. But as I like to do, as I said, I didn't put any ease stitches in because I have been pleating the ease into my sleeves now. So I pleat the sleeve and then I pin it really good to the top, in this case, the coat. And then the pins, as I go and stitch it, the pins hold the pleats really well. So I do a pleat and I pin the pleat. And then I usually will put another pin right next to it without a pleat, like this. And then I make another pleat. And I do this every other pin. They're very, very close together as well. But I do this every other pin until all of the ease is taken out of the sleeves. Let me put another pin here without a pleat, and I will go to the other side and even it out, and then I continue to alternate until I have all of the ease out of my shoulder seam. I got one more pleat over here at least. I think all the ease is out of that. I think all the ease is out of it, so we should be able to just go ahead and pin the rest of it. Match up those raw edges. This is a little bit difficult just because of the kind of fabric that I have here. Okay, I'm not positive where that cut off, but we have all of the ease now out of the sleeve. I have found if I gather my shoulders, this machine does not feed it through the right way. It doesn't stay gathered, it bunches it all up at the side. However, I have found that since I have been pinning it, the machine seems to be okay with the sleeves. So I'm going to try and feed this in the same way that you're actually supposed to, instead of the opposite way of how I've been doing it, and see if it works this time. All right, that shoulder or that sleeve is in. So I'm gonna go ahead and insert the other sleeve, and then I think I will just be back for the reveal because all I have left to do is hem it. And yes, this is a coat hem and it's supposed to be a blind stitch, but you can barely see any of the stitching in this fabric. And I do kind of like these, the reinforcement or the strength that the zigzag stitch gives to the sweater. So I will be zigzag hemming the sleeves, and I will do some sort of zigzag hem at the bottom of the coat, and I'll be back for the finished product. Alright, thank you for watching my video. I really enjoyed making this sweater coat. It really has been great with these light long sleeve shirts. This is another of the knit shirt from This Is Same pattern. So this is actually how it looks together. And this was an outfit that I have planned or have had planned since I got this sweater fabric. I had planned to find just a blue knit and make a shirt and make a little fun casual outfit. And I really like it. I recently finished this sweater, so I've only worn it a couple times, but I do really, it's a great layering piece. Actually haven't been too cold. It hasn't been terribly cold yet, but I haven't been too cold with just the light layers. Obviously, this fabric is not what the pattern calls for at all. It calls for interfacing the facings. It calls for a stiffer fabric. Obviously it's a little bit big, and you can tell I maybe should have shortened my shoulder seams probably about an inch. It seems that's what I have to do with the majority of my store-bought patterns from the big pattern makers. The shoulders are always a little bit big, but for a somewhat relaxed sweater, this is perfectly fine. So thank you for watching, and if you liked this video, go ahead and hit that like button, and if you want to see more, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You can hit that bell icon to be notified when I post more videos. Thank you for coming.